This video will demonstrate how an employee completes their electronic timesheet in eServe. From the eServe self-service menu, the employee selects Hourly Timesheet. This opens a new window. If payroll has generated the timesheet, it will appear here automatically. If this window opens and is blank, this can happen for one of two reasons. One, payroll has not yet generated the timesheet, which means the employee must wait for payroll to generate the timesheet before being able to make changes. Or two, payroll has generated more than one timesheet for the employee, and the employee must select the timesheet which they would like to work on or submit. This generally would happen before a break in the school year, where payroll would like timesheets submitted before the usual timesheet due date, such as winter, spring, or summer break. If more than one timesheet has been generated, the employee needs to pick the correct pay period from the pay period field on the left-hand side of the screen. The timesheet is generated as if the employee has worked all of their scheduled days during the pay period. If this is the case, the employee does not need to make any changes and can submit their timesheet to their supervisor. If the timesheet requires changes, an employee does that by using the Edit or Remove buttons to the right of each timesheet line entry. If an employee did not work and will not be paid for a particular day, the employee would click the Remove button beside the day they were not working and delete the line. If an employee was away from their regular position for a portion of the day, the employee will need to edit the date line, and depending on why the employee was not at work, they may need to add one or more lines to explain their absence. The first example, an employee who normally works a 7-hour day left an hour early and took a leave of absence without pay for that hour. The employee would click the Edit button beside the date line, and change the hours from 7 to 6, and then click Save to save the change. Second example, the same employee had a medical appointment on May 10th for 2 hours. First, the employee would click Edit beside May 10th, change the hours from 7 to 5, and click Save to save the change. Second, the employee would then need to click Add Entry from the bottom of the timesheet window. In the Notes field, the employee would explain the change. In this example, it was a doctor's appointment. Next, select the date using the Date button to the right of the Date field. Next, select the occupation from the drop-down menu. The employee's regular position or positions appear above the dotted line. Next, we would enter 2 in the Hours field. The Type field shows the type of leave or pay reason for that absence. In this example, the employee picks paid sick for the medical leave. And finally, the employee selects the location from the drop-down menu. After all of the fields are completed, the employee clicks Save to save the entry. A few notes about overtime. Overtime is entered into the timesheet by adding a new line for overtime. Click Add Entry. And selecting the appropriate type from the Type field. If an employee wishes to bank the overtime that they worked, they should select Overtime Banked and enter the exact number of hours that they worked. For example, if the employee worked 2 hours on a particular day, the employee would enter 2 hours into this field. Payroll will do all of the calculations to gross up the actual number of hours to the appropriate amount for the employee. If an employee works overtime and wishes to be paid their overtime, the employee would pick either OT 1.5 or OT 2.0 and again enter the exact number of hours worked. Once an employee has made all of the changes to their timesheet, they would click Submit to Supervisor at the bottom of the screen. Once this is done, the employee can no longer make changes to the timesheet. If the employee submits their timesheet early, but later realizes a change needs to be made, the employee can contact their supervisor, and the supervisor can make the change on behalf of the employee. Two other features I'd like to point out. First is Print Timesheet. When this button is pressed, the timesheet pops up into a PDF form, and the employee can print the timesheet. Second, Email Timesheet. Pressing this button will open a window where the employee can email the timesheet to whomever they wish. These two options, Print and Email Timesheet, are available both before and after the timesheet has been submitted to their supervisor. Previous timesheets can be viewed by pressing the caret to the right of the pay period field, and they will be displayed below the dotted line.